You're so insecure. So what if I'm still friends with my ex? That's what she said, with that smirk that always made it sound like I was the problem. The tone wasn't defensive. It was mocking, like my concern was some kind of joke. So I did something a little petty. I sent a bouquet of roses to his place, signed with love from me. See, she's allergic to roses. What happened after? Well, let's just say karma showed up covered in petals and the fallout was poetic. Hey, Reddit, I'm not the type to air my life online, but this story, it deserves its own space. Because sometimes when someone swears their best friend is harmless, your gut already knows better. I'm Ben, 30 years old. I've got a steady job, a decent condo, and for the most part, a peaceful life. Or at least I did, until Martha moved in. Before her, I didn't do drama. I didn't have to. Life was quiet, simple, organized. But Martha brought a kind of chaos that didn't scream at you right away. It whispered, smiled, and rearranged your world until you didn't even recognize it anymore. We'd been together a little over 2 years. The first 6 months, perfect. The kind of honeymoon phase you think only happens in movies. She laughed at my terrible jokes, cooked Sunday dinners, and posted those "can't believe I got this man" pictures like I was the prize she won. And honestly, I felt like one. My friends called us the power couple. My coworkers said I'd hit the jackpot. And I believed them. After a year, she moved into my condo. Temporarily, she said. Just until her lease ended. But temporary turned into permanent faster than I could blink. At first, it was cute. A toothbrush next to mine, her slippers under the bed. Then came the avalanche. Boxes, clothes, makeup scattered everywhere, my closet shrinking by the day. One night, she tossed one of my old jackets into a donation pile. "You don't even wear half of this," she said. That should have been my first warning sign. She wasn't just moving in, she was taking over. See, Martha had this charm that fooled everyone. A pretty face, a confident tone, that fake kind of empathy that makes people think she's the kindest person in the room. She'd ask about your day, but her eyes would already be searching for her reflection. And then came Chad, her best friend. Her ex who doesn't mean anything. Yeah, that one. The human red flag wrapped in a hoodie. The first time she mentioned him, it was casual. Too casual. "I told Chad about that restaurant you love," she said. "He thinks you've got great taste." I remember staring at her, confused. "Why are we talking about your ex complimenting me?" That's when the small things started. Late-night texts. Her laughing at her phone, screen tilted away the moment I walked in. I asked once, not even accusingly, just asking. And she hit me with, "It's just Chad sending memes." Don't be paranoid. Then came the first real fight. Not loud or explosive, like worse, quiet, cold. She looked at me like I was crazy. "Ben, you're being insecure. You can't expect me to cut off friends just because they're from my past." I told her, "It's not about control, it's about respect." And just like that, she flipped it. "Wow," she said. "So now I can't talk to someone who was part of my life before you?" That's controlling, Ben. That word, controlling, hit like a punch. She threw it around like evidence, painting me as the villain in a story I didn't even know I was part of. And then came the tears. Real ones. Mascara streaks, trembling hands, voice breaking just enough to sound believable. "I can't believe you think so little of me," she said. "I thought you trusted me." And I, the fool in love, I believed her. So I made a deal. "Fine," I said. "Keep your friendship, but no secrets. I want transparency. No late-night calls, no surprise visits, no, we just ran into each other's stories." "You tell me up front." She agreed too quickly. Too smoothly. Like she couldn't wait to close the book on that conversation. That night, lying in bed, I told myself I handled it like an adult. Mature, calm, logical. But deep down, I knew something was off. Her apology had been too polished, like she'd practiced it before. The next few months were peaceful, almost too peaceful. She became everything I'd ever wanted again. Smiling, affectionate, thoughtful. Posting more pictures, buying random gifts, cooking my favorite meals. Chad disappeared from every conversation. It should have been perfect. But it wasn't. Because along with the sweetness came something else. Control. She started shaping the story before anyone else could. Whenever we were out with friends, she'd laugh and say things like, "Ben's the protective one," or "He gets jealous over my old friends." Everyone laughed. It sounded harmless. But it wasn't. She was painting me as the insecure boyfriend before I even got the chance to defend myself. That's when I realized the truth. She wasn't just lying to me, she was managing me. She knew exactly which buttons to press to make me doubt my own instincts. It wasn't about trust anymore. It was about control. She wanted me silent, compliant, second-guessing every feeling I had. And the day I stopped feeling guilty for seeing through her act, that's when our relationship started dying. After that, Martha seemed to reinvent herself overnight. It was like she'd read a self-help book called How to Be the Perfect Girlfriend After Gaslighting Your Boyfriend. She cooked, cleaned, laughed at my jokes again. Even asked about my day like she cared. No mention of Chad, no mysterious texts, no, it's just memes. If I didn't know better, I would have thought she changed. But I did know better. It was all too quiet, too calm. Like she was building a stage version of our relationship, the happy couple everyone sees, while rehearsing something entirely different behind the curtain. At first, I let it go. I had work deadlines, projects, real life to focus on. I wasn't about to be the paranoid boyfriend checking her phone every time she sneezed. But then the little cracks showed again. It started with canceled plans, dinner reservations, movie nights, small things, always with the same excuse. Work ran late, or I'm just tired tonight. But her tired looked too put together, too rehearsed. Her makeup was fresh, her perfume new, and every time she smiled, it felt like a line from a script. That's when I realized Martha hadn't stopped lying. She'd just gotten better at it. She started canceling plans like it was a new hobby. Hey babe, sorry, last-minute work thing. Can we do tomorrow? She'd text like clockwork. Tomorrow would come and she'd show up exhausted, dramatic, acting like she'd just saved the world from collapse. But somehow, when Friday night rolled around, she had all the energy in the universe for girls' night. Full makeup. Hair perfect. Perfume strong enough to stun a small animal. And I'm not an idiot. You don't go from half dead on Tuesday to runway ready on Friday without a reason. One evening, she was in front of the mirror, curling her hair, saying she was off to help a coworker with a presentation. I leaned on the doorway and asked, almost casually, "You sure this coworker isn't named Chad?" She froze, just for a second. A tiny pause most people would miss. But I caught it. Then came the laugh, forced and sharp. "Oh my God, are we really doing this again?" I looked at her and said, "No, I'm just not stupid, Martha." "You're acting sketchy." She didn't like that answer. Mumbled something under her breath, grabbed her purse, and stormed out. The next week, she flipped the switch again. Overly affectionate, suddenly thoughtful. Random, "I miss you" text. Showing up at my job with lunch like we were living in some romantic comedy. But I'd seen this act before. Every time I questioned her, the pattern repeated. Distance, guilt, then overcompensation. It was like she had a reset button for her conscience. Then came the phone. Always face down, on the table, the counter, the couch, every single time. One afternoon, I tested it. I flipped it over, just casually. A notification flashed, and before I could even read it, she snatched it up like I'd grabbed a live grenade. "Wow," I said. "Didn't know work emails made people sprint." Her eyes narrowed. "You're paranoid again." I leaned forward. "And you're hiding something again." That got her. She blinked, caught off guard. Then the routine began. Soft voice, tearful eyes, the whole, "Baby, you're overthinking it" act. "I'm just busy," she whispered. Yeah, busy keeping up two lives. The following weekend, she said she was staying at her friend Sarah's house. Fine. I didn't push, but later that night I realized I needed my charger. I called Sarah. She sounded confused. "Martha's not here. She said she was spending the evening with you." And that's when everything fell silent inside me. I didn't yell, didn't text, didn't accuse. I just sat there staring at the ceiling, letting it sink in. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was fact. 2 days later, while paying our shared phone bill online, I saw something I'd never clicked before. Manage devices. My curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a setting called location sharing. Her phone was right there, still linked to mine. We'd set it up months ago, back when things were good. All it took was one click. No password. No warning. Just done. For a second, I stared at the screen, half expecting it to ask, "Are you sure you want to catch your girlfriend lying?" I told myself it was about safety. But it wasn't. I just needed proof. That night, she came out of the bedroom in yoga pants and an oversized hoodie, hair up, pretending she was in a rush. "Late class tonight," she said. "Don't wait up." I nodded, pretending to scroll on my phone. "Yoga, huh?" She smiled. "Yeah, they added a new session." "Cool," I said. Don't forget your water bottle. As soon as the door shut, I opened the app. The little blue dot that was supposed to move toward the gym didn't. It went the other way. Across town, my stomach didn't drop. My hands didn't shake. It was just quiet. The kind of calm that only shows up when your brain finally catches up to what your heart's known for months. I zoomed in. The map stopped on a street I knew, Chad's Street. Of course it did. Late yoga class, huh? I muttered, taking a slow sip of coffee. I took a screenshot. Then another 5 minutes later. The timestamps were perfect. I even labeled it Martha Yoga Session Liar, JPG. I didn't text her. That's what she'd want. A scene, an argument, something she could twist into, "You're crazy!" Not this time. I was done playing her game. By 9:30, the blue dot hadn't moved. So I opened my bank app instead. If she was lying to me, she wasn't doing it on my dime. I removed her from my credit card, canceled every shared subscription, Netflix, Spotify, utilities, all of it. Petty? Maybe. But satisfying? Absolutely. Then I changed the passwords for the electric and internet accounts too. The condo was mine and I wasn't leaving any door unlocked, digital or otherwise. By 10 o'clock, I had a plan. I wasn't going to confront her with screenshots or play detective in my own house. No. I was going to let her walk straight into her own lie and bury herself in it. At 10:40, her text came through. Still finishing up at yoga. And I just smiled because for the first time, I wasn't the one being played. She texted, exhausted. Might stop for tea after. I couldn't help but laugh. Tea? Sure, at Chad's. I didn't bother replying. I'd already seen enough. One lie was all it took. Instead, I spent the night cleaning, not in some dramatic, heartbroken way, just quietly, methodically. Tossed out her half-eaten takeout, folded laundry, wiped down the counters. It was weirdly calming, like I was scrubbing away the last traces of someone who didn't exist anymore. She came home just after midnight. I heard her keys jingle in the door, soft footsteps across the floor, the fake sigh she always did when she wanted to sound tired. "Hey," she whispered, "you still up?" "Yeah," I said, eyes still on the TV. She slipped off her shoes, trying to sound casual. "Class was brutal tonight. My legs are killing me." "Oh yeah?" I said flatly. "Hope you stretched first." She smiled, thinking I was teasing. "Of course, why?" "You don't believe me?" "Why wouldn't I?" I said, turning to look at her. "You've never lied before." That one landed. Her face twitched for half a second. Fear, guilt, maybe both, before she forced a little laugh. "You sound weird," she said. "You okay?" I didn't answer. Just muted the TV, stood up, and walked to the bedroom. She watched me the whole way, trying to figure out how much I knew. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of a fight. I wanted something cleaner, quieter, something she'd never forget. The next day was supposed to be our anniversary. I'd made the reservation weeks ago. Her favorite restaurant, impossible to book without planning ahead. She'd been talking about it all week, probably while texting Chad under the table. At 5, my phone buzzed. I didn't even need to check the name.
"Hey babe, I'm so sorry."
My boss just dropped a massive deadline on me. "Can we celebrate this weekend instead?" "Love you." I stared at it, imagining her sitting on Chad's couch, wrapped in one of his hoodies, pretending to be stressed about work while lying straight through her teeth. Just to confirm, I opened the location app. There it was, that same little blue dot, parked outside Chad's condo. No gym, no office. No deadline, just Chad. And the strangest part? I didn't even feel angry anymore. Just clear, focused, like all the noise had finally gone silent. When you stop hoping someone will change, peace feels almost surgical. So I leaned back, smiled to myself, and thought, all right, Martha, let's make tonight special after all. That's when I called Eli, my oldest friend, the guy who runs a flower shop. I told him everything in 30 seconds flat. He whistled low. Damn, man. You want subtle or scorched earth? Scorched, I said, and make it poetic. We planned it right then. The biggest bouquet of red roses he had, the kind you need 2 people to carry. Martha's allergic to roses. Not dangerous allergic, just enough to make her sneeze like crazy. She used to joke, if you ever send me roses, I'll know you don't love me. Perfect. Add a note, I told him. Handwritten. What should it say? I smiled. Hope your work meeting goes well tonight. Love, Ben. Eli had to mute himself, laughing. Oh, this is evil. You sure you want it under your name? Exactly, I said. She expects me to play dumb. Let's ruin her script. By 6:30, Eli texted, leaving now. I'll call you after the drop. I sat back on my couch, Netflix humming in the background, imagining the scene like a movie I'd already seen 100 times. Eli showing up at Chad's door, Martha smiling, thinking it's takeout. Chad opening it, confusion. The card, the roses, the sneezing. At 7:15, my phone rang. Eli was practically choking on laughter. Dude, you're not gonna believe this. It was perfect. Tell me everything, I said. He painted the scene for me. Chad in gym shorts, clueless, standing at the door like everything in his world was perfectly normal. And behind him, there she was. Barefoot, hair a mess, wearing her so-called yoga outfit. She looked like someone who'd just rolled out of bed and straight into a lie. Eli held up the roses. Delivery for Martha. She froze, blinked, panic spreading across her face. Chad frowned, asked if she'd ordered something. She shook her head, trying to think of a story fast enough. But Eli didn't wait. He handed her the bouquet anyway, smiling like it was just another day on the job. Then she saw it. The little white card tucked between the stems. She pulled it out, read the words, and her face drained of color before it went bright red. And then the sneezing started, one after another, like karma had a sense of humor. Standing there in Chad's doorway, roses in hand, nose running, caught in the middle of her own lie, Martha didn't need me to say a word. The truth had already shown up, handwritten in a bouquet of roses. Chad took the card from her trembling hand and read it out loud. To Martha, hope your work meeting goes well tonight. Love, Ben. And just like that, the room went still. Eli said you could have heard a pin drop. Martha was still sneezing between half-formed excuses, Chad staring at her like he'd just watched his entire reality glitch. Between them, that massive bouquet of red roses stood like evidence, a confession wrapped in petals. Eli didn't stick around for the sequel. He said the moment Chad muttered, "Work meeting," he turned on his heel and left before a vase could start flying. When he told me later, I couldn't stop laughing. The image of her sneezing her lungs out while Chad connected the dots. It was poetic justice. The kind you don't script. The kind that just happens. Eli chuckled through the phone. You're a legend, man. Happy anniversary. Hope she enjoyed the bouquet. When we hung up, I felt lighter than I had in months. It wasn't revenge that made me feel good. It was the silence afterward. The kind of silence that comes when the truth finally does all the talking. By 8 o'clock, my phone started buzzing nonstop. I didn't even have to check who it was. Martha, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you stalking me? You could have made me sick. We need to talk right now. Then came the calls, one after another, until the phone vibrated itself into exhaustion on the coffee table. I didn't answer a single one. A few minutes later, another message popped up. It's not what you think. Please, just answer. Yeah, that line always fixes everything. So I turned the phone off. Complete silence. And that silence, it was beautiful. The first real peace I'd felt in 2 years. I didn't care if she sneezed for an hour, or if Chad finally realized what kind of mess he'd invited into his apartment. None of that mattered. What mattered was that she knew. She knew I knew. And she knew it was over. That night I ordered a pizza, kicked my feet up, and watched the game. No yelling, no explanations, no bargaining. Just me, the couch, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing I ended it cleanly. No drama, no mess, just closure with a bow on it. Before falling asleep, I had one last thought. Roses are red, and so is her face. For the first time in years, the condo felt peaceful. That peace lasted all of 3 hours. Around 11, the doorbell camera lit up. Martha, still in the same leggings from earlier, nose red, eyes puffy, maybe from tears, maybe from allergies, probably both. She stood outside clutching her purse like it was armor. I didn't move. I just watched her fumble with the keys before finally letting herself in. The second the door opened, she exploded. What the hell is wrong with you, Ben? Do you think that was funny? Do you know how humiliated I was? I didn't even look away from the TV. Hi to you, too. She threw her purse to the floor. You embarrassed me in front of Chad. You made me look insane. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't need my help for that. Her eyes widened. You're sick. You knew I'm allergic. Do you realize how bad that could have been? Yeah, I said calmly. Mild sneezing. Watery eyes. Maybe a rash. Pretty much what happens every time you lie, it shows up on your face. She froze, blindsided. Then came the tears, the kind she used to weaponize. Shoulders shaking, hands covering her mouth like she couldn't believe what I'd done. "I can't believe you did that to me," she cried. "You invaded my privacy. You sent something to someone's house. Do you know how crazy that looks?" I finally turned to her. "Crazy? You've been lying to my face for months. Sleeping with your ex while living in my condo, spending my money, pretending everything's fine. I don't think I'm the crazy one here." She flinched, then snapped right back into defense mode. "You don't know anything. Chad and I were just talking. You always twist things." "You're paranoid!" "Right," I said, voice flat. "You two must have a lot to talk about, in yoga pants. At 10 at night." Her jaw tightened. "I can explain." "Don't bother," I cut in.
You've explained enough.
"I'm done listening." She blinked, confused. "What do you mean, done?" "I mean," I said evenly, "you have 30 days to get your stuff out. Clothes, makeup, everything. The guest pass has expired." "You can't kick me out," she shouted. "I live here." I stood calm but firm. "No, you don't. Your name's not on the deed. You've been a guest. And now the guest stay is over." Her voice cracked. "You're throwing away 2 years of us over one mistake?" I laughed quietly. "One mistake? You didn't trip and fall into his apartment, Martha. You scheduled it." That shut her up. She stomped down the hall, muttering about how heartless I was. I didn't follow. I just went to bed. Lights off. Door closed. She cried for a while, slammed drawers, maybe hoping I'd come in and fight. I didn't. The next morning, the air in the condo felt different. Still. Heavy. Around 9, I heard voices outside. Her parents. Reinforcements. They came in like a jury ready to deliver a verdict. Her mom was already crying, her dad fuming. "I can't believe this, Ben," her mom started. "After everything Martha's done for you, this is how you treat her? Over a misunderstanding?" "Misunderstanding?" I said quietly. "Is that what she told you?" Her dad crossed his arms. "She said you humiliated her. Sent something inappropriate to a friend's house." I nodded. "Friend's house, huh? That's one way to describe Chad's condo." Her mom froze. "Excuse me?" "Yeah," I said, meeting her eyes. "She was at Chad's when she texted me about her work emergency. I sent roses to congratulate her on the big meeting. I'm sure you saw how that went." Her father's face dropped. He looked at Martha, red-eyed, standing just behind them, silent like she'd forgotten how to speak. "Is that true?" her dad asked. She didn't answer, just sniffled, eyes on the floor. I folded my arms. "Before you start lecturing me, you should probably know I caught her lying. More than once. She's been seeing him for months." The room went quiet. Her mom's jaw tightened. Her dad's face sank. "Roses?" she whispered. "You sent roses?" "Yep." That single word hit harder than a scream. The silence that followed was thick, heavier than any shouting match could have been. Her dad rubbed his temples like he was tired of the whole play. "Martha, go pack your things." Her voice cracked. "Dad, you're just taking his side." "I'm taking the side of facts," he said flatly. "Get your stuff." For the next 2 hours, the condo turned into a quiet war zone. Cardboard boxes, slammed drawers, the smell of cheap perfume and anger hanging in the air. Her mom helped her pack, throwing me sharp looks every few minutes but saying nothing. Her dad hauled boxes to the car without meeting my eyes once. I didn't move. I just sat on the couch with a cup of coffee, watching. Not out of cruelty and out of clarity. It wasn't my mess to clean anymore. At exactly noon, the last box disappeared. Her dad closed the trunk, and Martha stood by the passenger door, arms crossed, eyes burning. "You'll regret this," she said, voice trembling. I shrugged. "Doubt it." She slammed the door and they drove off. I watched until the taillights faded, then finally exhaled. The condo was still, for the first time in months. Not the fake kind of quiet, where you're waiting for another fight. Real quiet. I walked inside, opened my laptop, and started finishing what I'd started. Canceling the last of the joint accounts, closing cards, changing passwords. The more I erased her access, the lighter I felt. When it was done, I sat back on the same couch where she'd screamed the night before and let the silence sink in. No texts, no guilt. No manipulation. Just peace, real heavy earned peace. It lasted 2 days. 2 full days without a call, a message, or an excuse dressed up as an apology. I started to believe maybe, just maybe, Martha had finally accepted defeat. But peace doesn't last long when people like her are involved. On the morning of the 3rd day, my doorbell camera went off. I checked the screen and almost laughed. Chad. He looked wrecked. Eyes sunken, face red, like sleep and decency had both abandoned him. I let him stand there a minute just to stew before I opened the door. Barely. "What do you want?" I asked. "We need to talk, man," he said, voice shaking. "No," I replied. "We really don't. You and I were never on the same team." He tried to push forward, but I didn't move. "You think this is funny?" "You ruined my life." That made me laugh. "Oh, did my flowers attack your conscience?" He glared. "You think you're clever? Because of you, Jessica left me." She packed her bags and walked out. "You happy now?" I leaned on the doorframe, calm. "You mean your girlfriend found out you were cheating?" "Yeah, I'm good with that." He pointed a shaking finger at me. "You don't get it." "My neighbor saw the delivery guy," told Jessica. "Things got twisted. Now she thinks I've been sleeping with Martha." "Twisted?" I said. "You were sleeping with her." "That's not the point," he snapped. "Oh, it's exactly the point," I said. "And that's the consequence." His voice cracked higher. "You have to fix this. You have to call Jessica and tell her the flowers were a misunderstanding." "Let me stop you right there," I said. "You want me to lie to your girlfriend to cover up your affair?" "The same affair that wrecked my relationship?" "Yeah, no, I'm good." "You're a jerk," he spat. "You think you're better than everyone?" "Yes," I said evenly. "And smarter." His nostrils flared. "You'll regret this." That's when I pulled out my phone, camera already recording. "You want to repeat that for the video?" He froze. The tough guy act fell apart in seconds. His shoulders dropped like gravity suddenly remembered him. "You're recording me?" "Yep," I said. "Smile for the camera. That way when you do something stupid later, I'll have proof." He stared, then turned and stomped off, muttering under his breath. I watched him through the camera feed all the way to his car. Slammed the door. Peeled out of the lot. I saved the video. Labeled it Idiot Threat 1 MP4. Emailed it to myself. Just in case. Because you can't be too careful with unstable people who just lost their backup plan. A few days later, my phone buzzed. Bank alert. Suspicious activity detected. It was an old department store account we'd opened when we bought the couch. She'd tried to buy $2,000 in gift cards. The system froze it instantly. I called the fraud line, filed the report, shut it all down. Honestly, I wasn't even mad, just impressed. Even after losing everything, Martha still found time to double down on stupidity. 2 days later, the next wave hit. A buddy from work texted me, "Hey man, did you really stalk your ex?" And that's how I found out Martha and Chad had started their smear campaign, spinning lies like it was their last shared hobby. The story was that I'd been harassing them both, tracking her phone, sending roses as some kind of creepy obsession. I couldn't help but laugh. Because that's the thing about people like them. When they can't control you anymore, they try to control the story. It was almost funny how predictable it all was. People like them never face the truth. They rewrite it. The moment they lose control, they start rewriting the script. But I didn't bite. I didn't argue, didn't post, didn't try to fight for the version of me I knew was real. Instead, I did what I do best. I documented. Screenshots of their posts, texts from mutual friends, even a few voice notes that found their way to me. It didn't take long to see the pattern. Martha spinning lies, Chad backing her up like a loyal fool who hadn't realized the game was already over. I stayed silent. Sometimes silence says more than 1,000 defenses. And the truth is, the only person who really believed their story was Martha herself. Every few days, I'd see her name flash across my phone. A restricted call, always ignored. Then came the emails. Little paragraphs dressed up as apologies, wrapped in excuses. "I never meant to hurt you. I just needed closure. Delete, delete, delete." One night, I was about to shut my laptop when another message appeared. Unknown sender. Subject line, "You deserve to know the truth." Normally, I'd ignore something like that. But the name under it stopped me. Jessica. Chad's ex. Her message was short but sharp. "Hey, Ben. This might sound strange, but I know what really happened. I have proof. Can we meet?" I replied with 3 words, name the place. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't cleaning up her chaos. I was about to flip the whole story on its head. Jessica wasn't just another victim of Martha's games. She was the missing piece. And if Martha thought she'd already lost everything, she hadn't seen anything yet. We met the next evening at a quiet coffee shop downtown. Jessica walked in looking like someone who'd finally escaped a storm, tired but steady. She didn't waste time. The moment she sat down, she opened her laptop and turned the screen toward me. "I figured you'd want to see this," she said. It was a text thread. Dozens of messages between Martha and Chad. My name all over them. Martha had written, "He's too predictable. Pays every bill on time. Once I get what I need, I'm gone. Don't worry, I'll play the victim. He hates confrontation." Chad replied, "You sure he won't find out?" And Martha answered, "He's clueless. Even if he did, I'd flip it on him. Guys like that always apologize." Jessica scrolled through pages of it. Their plans, their jokes, their little roadmap to taking everything they could. My savings, my credit, even the damn furniture. I didn't even flinch. The shock was long gone. What I felt now was clarity. "You kept all this?" I asked. She nodded. I thought about deleting it. But after what they did, I wanted it documented. I don't want either of them walking away clean. Then she opened another folder, screenshots of Martha bragging to a friend about getting compensation after the breakup. Her actual words, "He'll feel guilty and pay up." He always does. Jessica looked at me, her calm, steady, certain. "I'm willing to sign a statement. Sworn and notarized. Whatever you need." I nodded. Then we're done playing defense. 2 weeks later, a thick envelope landed in my mailbox, Martha's lawyer. Fancy letterhead, dramatic wording. Apparently, I'd caused her emotional distress and financial instability. They wanted a settlement to make it all go away. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. She really thought she could turn her downfall into a payday. I called my lawyer, handed him the letter, and said, "Make it hurt." He did. A week later, his response went out. Short, sharp, and nuclear. Exhibit A. Doorstep footage of Chad showing up uninvited, yelling threats. Time-stamped, transcribed, proof of actual harassment. Exhibit B. The official fraud report from the bank showing Martha's failed $2,000 gift card stunt. Intent to defraud is in black and white. Exhibit C. Jessica's signed, notarized affidavit, complete with Martha's own text plotting to exploit me financially. And at the bottom of that letter, one line that ended it all. If Ms. Martha does not immediately withdraw her claims and cease all defamatory communication, our client will pursue legal action for harassment, defamation, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Full damages and attorney's fees will be sought. That letter went out on a Thursday. By Monday, her lawyer called mine, case withdrawn. No apology, no explanation, just quiet surrender. After that, nothing. No texts, no rumors, no more games. She disappeared. 6 months later, a mutual friend filled me in. Martha was living in a small apartment on the west side, bouncing between temp jobs after losing her full-time one. She still mentioned my name sometimes, apparently, said I ruined her life. Meanwhile, Chad's world collapsed. Jessica showed people the screenshots and the whole truth. His reputation burned out in days. Even his closest friends stopped trusting him. Last anyone heard, he was sleeping on his brother's couch trying to find himself. My life, it went back to normal. Actually, a better than normal. Sometimes I'd laugh, thinking about how much effort they put into their lies, only to be undone by their own arrogance. I never heard from Martha again. Not directly, anyway. Once in a while, I'd get a random spam email, job boards, coaching sites, with her name listed as a referrer. Maybe her way of pretending she'd moved on. I didn't reply. She could keep pretending. People say closure is overrated. I don't agree. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation or an apology. Sometimes it's just peace and quiet, bills paid on time, and knowing the person who tried to destroy you is struggling to keep the lights on. I don't hate her. Hate takes energy, and she's not worth any. I just hope that every single time she catches the scent of roses, in a store, on a street, anywhere, she remembers that night. The doorbell ringing. The flowers waiting. Chad's face frozen in shock. Her sneezing, stammering, trying to explain the impossible. Every detail burned into her memory like a scene she'll never escape. Some people get flowers for love, for anniversaries, for the promise of something beautiful. She got hers for closure, a bouquet that ended everything she thought she controlled. And maybe, just maybe, every petal that touched her skin reminded her of the lies that finally caught up to her. I didn't need revenge speeches or dramatic goodbyes. That night said it all. The roses did the talking. The truth bloomed right in front of her, and there was no way to unsee it. Now, Whenever I think back on it, I don't feel anger or bitterness. Just peace, the kind that comes after a storm when you realize the worst is over and all that's left is quiet. I moved on. She didn't. That's the real difference between us. And who knows, maybe one day she'll walk past a flower shop, smell that same perfume of guilt and memory, and feel it all come rushing back. The doorbell. The bouquet. The truth she tried so hard to bury. Because some flowers aren't gifts. They're reminders. And those roses? They'll remind her forever. Oh, and before you go, YouTube just rolled out this new hype feature. If you've been hooked on this story from start to finish, hit that hype button. It's like telling YouTube, yeah, this one deserves to blow up. Trust me, the story's done, but the karma, that's still blooming.